Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Never thought I'd be saying this, but a brand new episode here at the Youngbouls Podcast, man. This is an emergency episode, but it feels so good to be right back here. I'm here with my man, friend of the show, Aiden. Welcome back, man.
We're back.
We're
The
back.
show is back and rolling. I'm excited.
Back and rolling, man. Aiden actually hit me up on Friday to, basically say like emergency episode because, if you've been living under a rock, the greatest player of all time just signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. So, I had to come back and, do an episode to talk about it, man. But before we get going, man, I just want to say, it's been a minute. It's been a while, obviously. I think the last episode I put out was like January, if I'm not mistaken. So it's definitely a lot of stuff's been going on. But nonetheless, it feels so good to be back in front of this camera, in front of you guys with the microphone in tow and just talking sports and just doing what I love, man. Obviously, school got in the way. Other hobbies like photography that got in the way too. But it's going good. So that's why I took a break from the podcast and everything like that. But nonetheless, like I just said, it feels good to be right back here with you guys again. And hopefully this isn't the last episode. Hopefully this leads to more episodes in the future. And I'm starting to think that depending on how this episode goes, that may be the case. So, all that being said, let's get to it, man. Obviously, the biggest offseason moves this offseason, LeBron James to the Philadelphia 76ers. Aiden, how are you feeling about it first?
Hey, before we dive in, I just want to give my congratulations. We got some Temple graduates right here.
Oh, yeah,
Obviously, Dinari,
for sure.
Your endeavors going for. But, hey, man, as a Thunder fan, I haven't spoken on this podcast in a while. I feel like the last time I spoke was a year ago after they won the chip. They got
yeah.
And, dating back to last season, they had a really good regular season. There was injuries, but they couldn't get it done. But you know what? They'll be back. But as someone who lives in the Philadelphia area, I'm excited to have LeBron just in the city. It's been 72 hours or so since the free agency signing. I wouldn't say out of left field has gone down, but just the vibes in the city and on social media has just been something that I enjoy seeing, even as a non-Sixers fan, but as a LeBron fan and as just a Philadelphia sports fan. I just think it's really cool for the city and just the Sixers, man. I got so many friends that are Sixers fans. I'm happy for them. I know Dinari's happy. And getting a guy like LeBron James, who is still a top 30, 20 player in the NBA nowadays, for such a steal of a contract, 2 years, $8 million. I think that's as good as it gets. And breaking down where he could have gone throughout this free agency decision between the hometown Cavs, you go back and you play with Giannis down in South Beach, you kick it with Steph Curry in Golden State, and then that fourth option always felt like it was Philadelphia, who has the best roster on paper, and then they go out and get a Jaylen Brown, and now you're like, Philly might be their best option for a ring, and LeBron took his time doing it, but he made that decision, and it's certainly something.
No, seriously. On Friday, I think I was just here, just chilling and everything like that. And I took a nap, like one of like those like midday naps.
Yeah.
I wake up, it's like tons of alerts going on. And I see like, Bron's Instagram video and everything, the Meek Mill dreams and nightmares and everything like that. I'm getting all these texts like, oh, we got Bron. And I'm like, whoa, like it's wild, it's crazy. But it's insane. As Aiden just talked about, I have friends who are literally from Philadelphia who have gone through like the process, like early process Sixers, like $3 tickets, like Hollis Thompson, like Nick Stauskas Sixers and everything like that. So, their excitement for this is immeasurable because if you would have told them like 5-10 years ago, oh, we're going to get Bron in 2026 with this stack.
If you told them 3 months ago.
Yes, if you would have told them 3 months ago, it was like, there's no way this is happening. But the fact that LeBron James is going to be suiting up as a Sixer as well as Jaylen Brown to already help out the team with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and VJ Edgecombe, with Phylon coming off the bench that you just picked up in the draft, and picking up Anthony Simons too, like there's no way that this team does not at least make the NBA Finals, man. There's no way that they don't do that, especially with the greatest player of all time on the team. And then there was reports today that came out, I think Sham said it, but Bron is going to be playing the point.
I like it.
I
I
do
mean, I think
too.
that's his best at his age right now going onto this Sixers team. I think that's the best thing out or on the court that he could bring is his
Right,
playmaking. And
right.
guys like a VJ Edgecombe thrive coming off the ball. You take a lot of pressure off Joel Embiid to have to play. Hell, he could play 30 games as long as he's healthy for the postseason. That's all that matters.
Seriously,
But you relieve the pressure off Joel Embiid and having to score 30 a game. Jaylen Brown comes in, and you probably expect him and Maxey to average around. They probably will combine for 45 to 50 points,
right.
give or take, this upcoming season. But LeBron James bringing the ball up the court, even if he plays, 45 to 50 games, that's a huge advantage having him being your primary point guard.
Yes,
Even if he plays
yes,
25, 30 minutes a game,
exactly.
him being able to set up the offense and be dominant at that aspect. No, I don't expect him to average 27-7 this season. But if he's able to go out there and just be a true facilitator and be the dominant LeBron James that we have
Yes,
seen, that's huge for them. It's
it's gonna
that's
be a
as
problem.
good as you're going to get for LeBron James at 41 years old.
It's
And
gonna
we
be a,
saw him. I mean, we
yeah.
saw him this past season on the Lakers and in that first round. And quite honestly, I thought he did all he could in that second round against OKC, but he
Mhm.
still looked like he can
The
be
LeBron that we
a
know,
top
yeah,
20 player, top 15 player come postseason.
most
And now
definitely.
you pair him up with three other all NBA caliber guys in Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, and Tyrese Maxey. So I think the Philadelphia 76ers have a pretty much perfect starting lineup, you could argue.
Yeah. And then on top of that too, you just account the fact that I can't stress this enough. Even with the whole Jaylen Brown trade, the Sixers didn't have to sacrifice anybody.
Yeah,
They didn't have to give up anybody. They didn't have to give up any pieces. Didn't have to give up any picks. None of that. They basically
nothing
had
important. No.
nothing important at all. So the team not only is continuing to get better, but then again, you bring in a player like LeBron James. We see what LeBron does when he has the ball in his hand. But for him to play that point guard position and just, again, like you just said, set up the offense, slow things down, you know, tap into people's games. Like we saw what happened when James Harden came to Philly and he, tapped into Joel Embiid's, game and everything like that, and he unlocked something in Joel Embiid. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for
Yeah.
VJ Edgecombe
You
to be
have the
under the
greatest,
tutelage.
you have the
Yes,
greatest, if not the second best basketball player of all time, who we have seen undoubtedly impact younger players' career and just the trajectory of what you can learn from LeBron James in at least one season. He signed a 2-year contract, but at least in one season. I
yes.
mean, and it's not like guys like Jaylen Brown are extremely old. He's still in his 20s. He can
He's in his
be
prime. He's in his prime.
Jaylen Brown coming off his best season ever. You have Tyrese Maxey, you have VJ Edgecombe, you have LeBaron Fight. Like you have young talent that is gonna learn from LeBron James one way or the other. And I know the actual basketball that he's still able to produce is just as important. But being able to learn and just have a guy like that in your locker room every single
Exactly.
day and practice with and give the 200% effort, like that's just it's that means just as much to the young guys on this Sixers team, and it's fun to see, and it's gonna be fun to see.
Aiden, this is so crazy for me, man, because like for me, I remember when the Sixers were getting like swept by, Celtics in the bubble. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I had to go watch, like Raul Neto get minutes and
Raul Neto.
Norvell Pell and Matisse Thybulle and Tobias Harris getting minutes and everything like that, and you're thinking, oh, this is all it's gonna be. Like the
Yep.
process is never gonna amount. I had to watch Ben Simmons and everything like that, and that whole Ben Simmons fiasco and everything like that. So to see us actually getting LeBron James now is insane. Because I'm not gonna lie, I already told Aiden this. I was about to give up after last season. After we got swept by the Knicks, I was like, nah, like I'm about to go
AJ the
home.
band, so I'm
Yeah,
coming home.
AJ the best in my next chapter. But I'm like, hold on, like we pick up Jaylen Brown, we pick up Braun. I'm like, nah, like I can't. But it's insane, man, to just even think that LeBron James is suiting up for the Sixers. I mean, also too, rest in peace to all those cheap Sixers tickets because
Yeah.
that's done for.
Oh my God. We're
That's
hey man.
done for.
The one game you're gonna be like, man, the tickets are on sale tonight
Yes,
for
nah,
only $50.
nah.
Damn
The
well LeBron's
preseason
not
game,
playing and
the
B could be
preseason
sitting
game,
out. Like Yeah,
It's
but
not.
yeah,
It's not
those
looking
tickets
good.
are not going to be.
It's
And
not looking good.
we're at the point in LeBron's career. Like, is this the farewell tour? Every game
Yeah.
is going to be sold out. Not just
Yes.
Sixers fans, but just people wanting to see LeBron.
And playoffs
I mean,
too. Oh my
I
God.
I haven't seen LeBron. I haven't seen LeBron in person since 2018 when he came into Philly when pretty much the exact situation where he was on a contract year.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
gonna, and
Yeah.
he came into Philly, he dunked on Saric, and my dad, one of his buddies, had an extra ticket. I'm like, all right, I'll come. And I just remember all the Sixers fans were like booing him, and I'm like,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. If you want him to come to Philly, you
Right.
gotta
Right.
like,
Right.
gotta cheer him on and whatnot. But nah, you know, there's gonna be so many fans in that crowd just for LeBron, not even Sixers fans that will pay any price to see him on a
Right.
random Tuesday night in January. Like we're the casual fan is gonna have a tough time trying to get a ticket to see him, but
Seriously. I was
it'll be
fortunate
cool.
enough. I was fortunate enough last season to go see Bron play when the Lakers came in town. The Lakers played the Sixers, and Bron and Luca literally took over the game, like the final 10 minutes of the game and everything
I
like
don't
that.
remember that. That's crazy. I don't remember that game.
Dude, like Bron literally scored 10 points,
Oh yeah,
like
and
ten
then
straight.
he
Yes,
started doing the he after
yes,
he made the buck he
yes. And the dude in
himself.
the front row was literally like bowing down
Yep,
to him
I
and
remember
everything.
that.
It
Yep.
was, dude, it was a spiritual experience, like just seeing that. And I'm like, I can only imagine what it's gonna be like for Bron to make that first, logo three.
He's gonna, in that first game, he's gonna hit him with
Oh
the
my
FU
gosh,
three.
man.
Or I remember the opening game, the Lakers had against Portland, and his
Oh
first
yeah, yeah,
points
the
was
two
a dunk,
dunks. Yep.
and then Lillard goes on the other end and dunks it. Braun comes
Mhm.
back the other way. I'm like,
Right,
we
right.
need that opening night, that crowd. Ooh, baby, it's gonna be
It's,
great. Now the
it's
only
like,
thing is, I would love that to be opening night of them, but the Knicks, they're gonna
mhm.
raise that banner, then they'll have the West Coast game. So I want LeBron's Sixers debut to be at home at Wells Fargo Center or whatever it's called now. I need that LeBron Sixers debut to
I
be
think the ESPN
down
is
down in
definitely
South Philly, and because
ES yeah. ESPN is definitely gonna make Sixers Knicks the ring ceremony game for sure.
they probably will.
They will.
I just think from the viewership aspect of it, unless they want to hold off on having that against New York and then bring like Paul George and Boston back into Philly for opening night
Oh
on
my
Wednesday.
gosh.
What's right now, if you were the schedule makers, what's
Mhm.
your opening night?
That's a
Knowing that
good
the Knicks have to raise the banner in the first game.
opening night because opening night's 2 games, right? It's
Yeah,
2 games
one
for
East
opening night.
Coast and one West Coast. But
Okay.
the champions, like whoever raises the banner, hosts no matter what.
Okay. All right. So opening night, obviously, I think I want to do Knicks Spurs opening night. I feel like that's automatic. That's
Oh,
box
so
office.
you think the Spurs go into New York and have a
Spurs,
revenge?
Spurs going to New York. Wemby watches the banner getting raised
Wow.
and everything like that. Everybody's booing. Like I think that would light a fire in the Spurs for sure. That would be a great game. And
That
then West Coast, low key sleeper here. Give me Portland opening night. I'm not gonna lie.
You think
Portland,
Lillard back and opening night would
Portland, and give me Los Angeles.
even without LeBron, just Luca and company? That would be interesting.
That'll be interesting. I
Okay.
mean, because outside, I'm trying to think of any other Western Conference teams. I mean,
I
Oklahoma
mean,
State.
new look, Minnesota
Yeah,
Timberwolves
yeah,
with
yeah,
LaMelo going
yeah,
into wherever it may be.
yeah,
Hey man, you're still looking at
yeah,
the number one seed in basketball last year. Hey,
yeah, yeah, yeah. What happened with Wimby though? That's all I gotta say. What happened with Wimby though? That's all I
hey, we'll
gotta
get
say.
his number next time. I'm not worried
I
about
need to
it.
trade Chet seriously, man, or something. I
Chet,
don't. I don't.
nah, Chet's. I think Chet's in. He had such a good season last year. It sucks they made like one bad game or semi poor series. Like reflect on him, which I get. Like I know the lights are at the biggest. Like they shine bright in that moment, and like that's what a lot of people see, and that's what they
Mhm.
make their assumptions on. But nah, I think Chet will be fine.
For sure, for sure.
I'm
And
not worried.
speaking of OKC though, man, obviously you guys had to let go of some stars and everything like that.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe gone. And
Yep.
then yesterday too, you guys tricked the Nuggets into getting into the second apron and
Spencer
everything.
Jones situation. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so talk
think
to me about that.
there's a lot of aspects of the sport nowadays
Hmm.
where the second apron I understand why it makes sense. Otherwise, we would have the LA Dodgers of the NBA, essentially, teams just constantly trading and signing whoever they want. So I understand why they have the second apron. It's in every professional sport except for the major leagues. But it does suck for some teams that
Yeah.
you do see, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had such a talented team now for, let's say, at least 2 straight seasons
Mhm.
where they were title favorites. And now they ultimately have to trade guys throughout their roster that are important players and have been important players throughout the past few seasons simply because they can't get under this second apron or they don't want to fall into the second apron and overpay what the
Right.
league thinks that they should be allowed to pay without being penalized. So, does it make sense why you're trading these players? Yes. Does it suck? Yes. But I think Sam Presti did the financially smartest thing, trading away guys that can sometimes be unplayable and were unplayable throughout the past few postseasons. Now, I'll
Yeah.
always love Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins specifically last year in Denver in that game 4, bringing them back into that game. Lou Dort hitting multiple threes against Denver in that same series. The crazy shot against, I mean, this is just last postseason,
Right.
but I understand why you trade these guys. You get under that second apron, and then on the back end, you offer a qualifying offer to Spencer Jones and force Denver to be in a really tough spot. And suddenly you have to make all these decisions within 48 hours.
Right.
Like, do I pay Spencer Jones, who deserves the $12 million, but then we fall into the second apron, and then if we do that, all right, now we can bring back and kind of just mess around for 2 years, but we're going to be screwed no matter what. Or we let him walk and then see what we do with a Peyton Watson situation. So
Right.
now that they re-signed him and OKC doesn't bring him in, they could do whatever they want with Peyton Watson, whether it's sign him to this long-term extension and then figure out what the hell they're going to do going forward,
Mhm.
or they just say, all right, you know what, we're just going to bring him back on a qualifying offer and potentially lose him next offseason to unrestricted free agency. So Sam Presti kind of just was playing a little
Yeah.
bit of
Yes.
chess,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so which I do like, and I think Spencer Jones either way would have been a nice signing for OKC, a bigger defender wing, but with all the departures that they've had, OKC, that is the
Mhm.
past month or so, um, I just think it moves the expectations for the rest of the Thunder guys right now, and I think they should be in the right situation to kind of take on that role.
Yeah.
Shout out
Very.
to
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, you guys obviously you happened in the conference finals and everything last year. But you guys are still like primed to be like one of the top teams in the West. Obviously, back to
Yep.
back MVP with Shea. Um, you have Case and Wallace emerging in the playoffs last year.
Sign him.
Caruso showing out. Obviously, great play from Hartenstein and great play from Chet. Even though he had like a lackluster playoff last year, everything like that. And J-Dub coming back from an injury and everything like that too, and
That's,
having
I mean,
yeah,
you look at it. You were an AJ Mitchell slash Jalen Williams injury away from,
seriously,
I think,
yeah,
would have been a complete 180 in the series. But you know what? Injuries
what
happen.
it is. It's what it
It's
is.
sports, and you gotta
Yeah.
bounce back on it. But I was actually posing a question to you right
Okay.
now in the NBA
Mhm.
with how free agency is, with how every current constructed team is.
Mhm.
Who are your legit 1A title favorites? Not
Oh,
just like I think they can, but
1A, just like
that I
strictly
would legit say can compete for a championship right now
in the East and the West.
in the East and the West. Yeah.
East, I'm not gonna lie. In the Eastern Conference, I can only name 3 teams that are title
Okay.
favorites like right now. That's
Yeah.
the Knicks, that's the Sixers, that's the Heat.
You think
That's
the Heat already
is
are in
that
that
crazy?
conversation?
Is that crazy? Because obviously they have Giannis.
I,
Giannis changes.
I think the Sixers are in that category,
Mhm.
and
The
I
Knicks
think the Knicks, no doubt about it. And
for sure.
then obviously the Heat are. I mean, they're a very good team. I
Right.
think they're a very solid team around Giannis, but Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. And
Right.
he's proved that he can be that guy.
Right.
But I just think without the help
Shooting.
surrounding him and the shooting,
Mhm.
like sure, Bam Adebayo, and Giannis Antetokounmpo are going to be the best defensive front court in the NBA, probably. I mean, that's a given. But
I got
outside of that, I just don't trust what the current structure of Miami Heat team looks like. A guy like a Bradley Beal with less expectations, with a smaller contract, he's still a great basketball player. They'll
yeah,
go out and get those guys. You know how Spoelstra and Pat
yeah,
Riley do that stuff. They'll
for
find
sure.
an undrafted guy and bring him up like the next Max Struses of the world.
Right, right.
So while I do think the Heat can be a very good team, I wouldn't put them into that category yet until we see
Like
where the rest of
how
the
it gels.
roster
Okay.
fills out, how they start to look. Those are my 2-1As out east. I mean, Detroit right now, there's a question mark with Jalen Duren's contract, but
Yeah,
I think they need to prove it a little more for me to get into that 1A
I agree. I agree.
conversation. But what about out west? What's
Out
your
west,
like?
I would say Oklahoma City, obviously.
Mm,
San Antonio, obviously.
yeah,
Honestly, I don't see any other team outside of those two in the West.
I agree. I agree. I think like
Minnesota, Denver, those are like 1B teams.
yeah,
Everybody else after that is like C or below.
I would agree. The Rockets are like they're all over the place. They just signed
Yeah.
Thunder shooting coach Chip Engelland a couple days ago. So if that can help, if they could get their shooters going, then that team can be scary. But I think a lot of these other Western Conference teams that you look at are one something away. They don't have that championship DNA.
Right.
Like Minnesota, their biggest question mark is going to be who plays the four for them this year with Julius Randle getting out of town. Can
Yeah.
LaMelo and Ant Edwards play good enough defense in that backcourt against some
Yeah,
of these
that's a
other
real
Western
question
Conference
too.
teams? I don't love what the Lakers roster looks like right now. I mean, it's Luca. Luca could be Luca if he stays healthy, but I
Yeah.
don't love. I like you just look throughout the Western Conference. I mean, Denver showed that they could do it with pretty much the roster they still have.
hmm
Um,
I
I
just
mean,
don't think it's enough though. I don't think it's
so
enough.
I just don't think it's enough, giving how deep it. I mean, the whole league just has so much talent right now. It's really going to be fun.
It's so crazy too because I remember the conversation last year, especially with the West was everything. Like, oh, the West is gonna be a bloodbath and the East is gonna be like it's gonna be weak. And now you look at it this year, the East is
The
like
East has
outside of the 1 and 2 seed, the rest of the seeds, like 3 through 8, is literally up for grabs. Like it could
yeah,
literally be
the
anybody.
three through nine really. There's nine, I think, legit playoff teams right now. One of them's going to miss it. If I were to bet and think who it could be, I would probably say Orlando, just because they haven't done much.
Yeah,
We'll see what Paulo could do. Franz just hasn't been able to stay healthy. They just don't have that extra
right,
something to them. Their
right.
offense and their shooting has been abysmal. But then there's other teams sort of creeping along. Like, could Charlotte?
Charlotte's gonna
Like,
be nice this
we'll
year.
see what they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, you trade away LaMelo Ball, but we'll see what can happen in that aspect.
I think Cleveland's gonna have like a drop off season.
It'll be. I do think Harden will be back. I think
Yeah,
he was waiting to see what LeBron wanted to do before making some sort of contract
yeah,
decision, but I do expect him to be back. And I can also see him taking or that Cavaliers team kind of taking another half step back. I do think
yeah,
they will still be,
for sure.
in that official playoff top six come the end of next regular season.
I won't be surprised they're like 5 or 6 though. Like
But I could definitely
yeah,
see him taking a step back. I mean, then the Pacers will be back next year too. Tyrese
Ivan,
Halliburton
yeah.
healthy and ready. I mean, they're a year removed from the NBA Finals,
I'm not
and
gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, Aiden. A team to really look at for next year in the East is Washington. I'm telling
not
you,
yet. See, I
not
see
yet.
the vision, but I don't think it's time yet. Now, do I think they could be in the hunt similar to like the Charlotte Hornets last year? Potentially. I mean, you got if Anthony Davis could stay healthy, if Trae Young could be the Trae Young we know and love, AJ
Yeah,
DeBonsa is one of the best prospects we've seen in a couple years.
right.
Obviously he's a rookie, but he's still going to have some sort of expectations.
Yeah,
And then you have so much other talent, young talent around those core main players where I could definitely see them competing. Now it's just going to be tough. Like, I don't think teams are going to pencil in a free win against the Wizards now on
yeah,
a given night. Like, that's a younger team led by a few veteran guys that are going to want to win basketball games. If
Yeah.
Anthony Davis isn't asking out for a trade and wants to stay in Washington, he's going to compete and he's going to want to win.
Mhm.
Anthony Davis at his age is not going to want to play for a tanking team anymore.
Not at all.
He wants to play competitive basketball. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
speaking for Anthony Davis, but I think you can,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and Trae Young even, like signing a contract extension, like he'll be back and fully healthy going into next season.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a
It'll be
lot
a
of
fun
interesting.
season.
Yeah, for sure. And then even like teams that we didn't name, Chicago, like with
They
Caleb
got time,
Wilson,
yeah.
they're going to be on the rise for sure.
I don't Toronto, yeah, Toronto with Kawhi. As long as Kawhi, that whole
Did the
situation,
trade even go through yet, or they're still
not yet.
investigating?
No, as long as that trade does go through, and I think it will eventually. I see a world where Toronto again probably rounds up that top six,
Yeah,
and they're going to be one of the best, if not the best, defensive team in the NBA. I mean, that team is ridiculous on defense.
yeah,
It's just about the scoring. It could
yeah,
trust Kawhi Leonard and Scotty Barnes and company to to put the ball in the basket enough. But yeah, I mean, the bottom of the East. You look at like Brooklyn's not going to be good at all next year. I mean, Randall and Porter Jr. are going to shoot the ball 60,
that's
60
gonna
times a
actually,
game.
yeah, no,
And then Milwaukee, I mean, you have no expectations for them to be even remotely good.
not at all.
So, like, I think you
Yeah,
kind of just like brushing them aside, but like Atlanta, like who knows what run that team could go on with like a healthy Jalen Johnson. They have so many wings, but can some of their guards finally step up and prove to play some semi meaningful basketball? So it definitely will be an interesting Eastern Conference from game 1 to game 82 and on.
yeah. It's definitely gonna be an interesting season for sure. And then I also want to ask you, since we talked about the East,
Sure.
what do we think about the West? More specifically, where do we see Golden State heading into next season? Obviously, they
Oof.
missed out on Braun. They missed out on Braun. We heard what Joe Lacob said about we're trying to plan for the Warriors post Steph and everything like that. Which, with arguably your greatest player in franchise history, still very much still in like the final moments of his
Oh yeah.
prime, still playing meaningful basketball. So now the conversation is: will Steph be a Warrior heading into the season? Will he ask out of his contract next year? He didn't sign the extension, everything like that. Where like what do you think the direction is with Golden State? Because obviously, I don't think Draymond signed an extension
He
either.
hasn't. Draymond's still unrestricted, but I do think he will be back to the Golden State Warriors.
Mm,
You saw what Yax did in the summer league. He was very good. Jimmy Butler should be back fully healthy. Steph will be fully healthy. But what else do you have on that team that you
yeah,
can really trust? They they've probably had arguably one of the worst off seasons of
actually,
any
I
team
think
in the
it like
league. They haven't
the
made any
worst one.
trades. They haven't
Yeah.
signed anyone. They just have not looked good outside of their Yaxel Lenenberg draft pick.
Mhm.
You have the aging Steph Curry, you have the aging Jimmy Butler, you have an aging Draymond Green likely. I I guess you run it back and just try to get some of these guys who are veterans to come into Golden State, but like do you really want an aging DeMar DeRozan like
Right.
playing on your team? I don't think that really moves the needle for you at all. And then you compare your team right now to a lot of the other teams in the NBA, you could be looking at a non-playoff team out west right now.
Right.
And I don't think that's that crazy to say.
It's not at all.
But at
Not
the
at all.
same time, I don't think Steph Curry is the type of guy to leave a team like the Golden State Warriors, which he's been his entire career, and then leave Jimmy Butler in the dust. But they've said they don't want to trade Jimmy Butler. I just think they're in such a tough spot right now, and that
Yeah.
front office really has to make a tough decision without hurting their superstar franchise player for the past 10 years in Steph Curry. So they're definitely in a predicament, but realistically, I would say I don't think they make any drastic moves, and we're just going to see a subpar Golden State Warriors team kind of riding this train of Curry until he kind of just the wheels fall off, which
Yeah.
is a shame, and that is partly why I would have been intrigued to see LeBron and Steph kick it
Hmm.
one time. Um, but I think if anything, we could just see solid role players filling out that roster, and then hoping that you could kind of just hit on some of these young guys. And it's not even like Yax is a young guy, or he's 24 years old. So he's,
Yeah,
yes, he's a rookie and he can be a very good rookie right away. But is that really what, you want for your franchise,
I
especially on a deep
agree.
Western Conference?
I agree. And then also too, on top of that, you touched on it a little bit, but I mean, me personally, I feel that the Warriors front office has been giving Steph the short end of the stick since post the whole Kevin Durant thing. I feel like, how they did the whole Jordan Poole situation, how, they didn't go after, Giannis and everything like that. Didn't make an aggressive move to get Lauri Markkinen at the deadline and everything like that. I feel
Yep.
like they've they've given them the short end of the stick and basically just given them scraps and been like, make the best of this,
Yep.
and still expect Steph to go out and play as a Steph that we all know and love. But in all honesty, the team that he has is not going to give him any sort of chance of winning
No.
meaningful basketball
And I
games.
think the Jimmy Butler move made sense at the time, and that was just a failed
Hmm.
experiment for the most part. I mean, there were moments where they worked well together, and we saw Jimmy Butler take over. We saw Steph take over. We saw the Kristaps Porzingis experiment, which just didn't work well for them. I didn't think, and I just also think we're past that Golden State Warrior style offense, which has been figured out and is so common to see in the league nowadays,
Right.
to where it doesn't really take anyone by surprise. Not that you figured out how to guard a guy like Steph Curry by any means,
It's
but
just
you
stop everybody
but
else.
it got picked up quicker than teams were able to in the late 2010s, and then one more time in 2022. And I just think it's the Golden State Warriors dynasty. Obviously, the dynasty is over, but the threat that the Warriors have been for the past decade and a half or so is
It's done.
finally starting
Yeah.
to officially come to an end, I believe. And again, any night Steph Curry could have 40 points and they could beat up on you. But I just think with the direction that Golden State is going, it's
Yeah.
tough to really see them beating any of these teams that have great talent and are still relatively young. Um, so it's tough for the Golden State.
Yeah, it's tough for sure. Obviously, me personally too, I just don't see them, making any moves again. And then as well as that, I don't really see them in the playoffs, coming into the season as well. If anything, they may just make the play in, but you look at, 3 through 9 for, the Western Conference, I feel like that's just gonna be a toss up. Obviously, third spot I got Denver. Fourth I'll get Minnesota.
I think
Houston,
Houston will have a good season once
yeah.
again. It'll be interesting to see how the Clippers do. Uh, Quietly,
Portland's gonna
and
be a
I
surprise
think
team.
Portland once
Yeah.
again they will be very good. Um, I don't think Cooper Flag and Kyrie Irving and that Mavericks team has enough pieces around them yet
Not yet.
to
Not
make that
yet.
jump, but I do think that they could be a team. They will definitely be competitive. I mean, Cooper Flag's an absolute dog. Kyrie Irving. I think they'll be a fun little duo to watch when fully healthy, and hopefully,
Low key too, a sleeper team that I mean, after obviously they weren't playing well basketball last year, but we had some individual stars on that team that was playing well. Keontae George,
oh
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
that
Utah,
Utah team. I think that
Utah,
Utah team is doing something really special down there, and
yeah,
I'm excited to see how the Keontae, Jaren, Ace, like it's gonna be fun to see how all of that sort of pairs with each other, all that young talent.
right,
Will Hardy the long term coach, or is he the developmental bad years sort of guy? Like we saw Mark Dagnall come in for OKC,
yeah,
for example, in almost this exact situation where you have a bunch of young guys. Like, is Will Hardy going to be the guy that kind of just get them through these rough years,
right,
and then they go out and they sign more of a veteran coach or whoever it may be to sort of get them on this right trajectory of, all right, we're going to aim for the play in this year. Year after that, we're going for a playoff spot. And then suddenly you're looking at this team with a bunch of 25, 26-year-old guys who are, doing their
yeah,
thing out there. And I definitely do think Utah's in one of the best positions right now, not just in the
Seriously.
West, but in the entire NBA.
Seriously, because Ace Bailey, obviously it was a lot of talk last year about whether or not he wanted to come there and everything,
Mm,
everything pre-draft. But when he got to Utah, he had an immediate impact. Keontae George probably had one of the best underrated seasons, and personally, my pick for most
absolutely.
improved.
He's
You know,
he was
he,
unbelievable
he
last
was
year.
unbelievable last season. You had Lauri Markkanen continuing to be that solid forward player for the Jazz. Obviously they had Walker Kessler last year; they lost him, but you get Jaren Jackson and everything like that. You're gonna have him back for this season. It's a lot to be looking forward to, and then you have players on the bench such as like Bryce Sensabaugh, who can give you great
I
minutes
think
and
he's
score,
fairly underrated.
and Isaiah Collier as well. So
Yeah, I don't think I have any issues with that offense. It's like, can Jaron anchor that much of the
seriously,
bad defense? We'll see. But if
but
if that team, if they can stay consistent and then get some defense
yeah.
on those heels, but I do think that Utah team's in a
I won't be surprised if they probably is like a 6 seed or like maybe even a 5. Who knows? But
hey, that's a fun little team to watch out for this
yeah,
year for
yeah,
sure. I want you to think, going back out east, a team we talked about a little bit earlier.
hmm
Put yourself in the minds of a Boston Celtics fan for let's
oh
say 2 months
gosh,
ago, right?
yeah.
Where
They were up 3-1
they're up
or
3-1 in the series, right?
mhm,
I know we know Tatum's not super fully healthy. He's
right.
kind of lingering injuries and whatnot. Put yourself in the mind of after that game 4 when you're up 3-1 in a series
hmm
against the Philadelphia 76ers. Jaylen Brown's coming off his best season. And then you
Man,
forward
yeah,
right
yeah,
fast forward to a few weeks ago and then to a few days ago with the official signing of LeBron James to Philadelphia, likely because of Jaylen Brown solidifying the rest of that Sixers roster. You go from
hmm
being up 3-1, blowing that 3-1 lead, to okay, now our eyes are set on Giannis
Giannis,
Antetokounmpo. Jaylen Brown's likely going to be traded, but where will he be traded? A lot of eyes are on the Milwaukee Bucks. You see
yeah,
Jaylen Brown potentially in Atlanta, but you're expecting to get some sort of really good haul back
right,
for a top 10 player in the league, arguably in Jaylen Brown, off again, like I was saying, his best
right.
season. And you're just not able to get Giannis Antetokounmpo because you want to have guys like Hugo untouchable.
And
And
Baylor Shireman,
it's which to me, you're like, come on, you're talking about trading for
seriously,
a potential superstar here, but you don't want to. Anyways, you better hope. If you're a Boston fan, you better hope damn well that he multiple time All Star. You get
right,
everything out of
right.
it. But you look at it and you go from the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade talks. You get a notification that Jaylen Brown's traded, and then I'm like, oh shit, Jaylen Brown finally got traded. I'm like, all right, let's
Yeah,
do this. And I see Philly. I'm like, no way. I'm like, Philly? You
mhm,
trade him to the team that you just blew a 3-1 lead against to in division, who you're gonna have to play 4 or 5 times a season.
right,
And then I'm like, I initially saw that notification. I'm like, wow, they got VJ probably.
yeah,
I'm like, nah, they didn't do Embiid. They wouldn't do Maxi. I'm like, they probably got VJ, some salary, and then
hmm
just like bunch of picks.
right,
I see Paul George, and I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, Brad Stevens, you're a bad man. You can't be
yeah.
doing that. Now, I give Paul his credit coming off of the suspension. He was
He was
magnificent.
great. He was great for
He
us.
was he was really good. But at the end of the day, you just compare age, talent, and contract, and you lose all three of those. Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's one of those situations that I mean, you have to feel for Boston fans. I could care less because I'm not a Boston fan, nor do I like Boston
Seriously.
fans. Um, so I just think it's interesting to look at that perspective, how quick the NBA can change,
Yeah.
just like Charlotte and
How
LeBron. Ball. You look at the future that Charlotte's building up, and then all of a sudden, on the left field, you're like, what? LaMelo Ball gets traded
yeah.
away for
It
so.
really it really just goes to the thing of how the mighty have fallen. I mean, for as long as I remember, like Celtics fans have been talking crazy trash on the Sixers, like, oh, like, 3-1, obviously their experience and their history was meeting the Sixers in the playoffs and stuff like that. The Celtics have always had the Sixers number and everything like
Yeah,
that.
they have.
Always had it. So heading into 3-1, I was at game 4. So I saw Peyton Pritchard go off. I saw Jaylen Brown going off too and everything like that.
Oh,
And
I was there too. I forgot I was there. I was like, wait.
yeah,
I was trying to do the
yeah,
math, and I was like, was that game 3 or game 4? Yeah, I was there too.
yeah. And I saw that. I saw that happen. I'm like, oh, that's it's over with. I literally went outside. Like they had like the little street interviews, and I was like, it's over. Because I thought like I was like the Sixers. There's no way we come back from this. They're about to take the series back to Boston.
Oh
Like
no, I was at game 6. That's what it
yeah, I
was.
was at game six
I was
too. I
at
was at
game
game
6.
six too. Because I
Yeah.
saw you. But like yeah, I was like, it's over with. Like it's done for. Obviously, the Sixers go back to Boston. They win. I'm like, so they're just trying to break our hearts. They're gonna lose in Game 6. Like I see what's about to happen. And then Game 6 they win, and I'm like, hold on, like winner take all Game 7. We were just down 3-1 with
Yeah.
Embiid not even healthy, and now Embiid's back. And then Game 7, Embiid goes off, and we win the series. We beat Boston on their home court in the Game 7. I'm like, never thought I was today. Obviously, whatever happened after that, we don't talk about that. But the fact that 7 seed, a team that was, I believe, a play-in team, which was the Sixers,
Yep.
was able to take care of business against a top 2 team, who many called, championship favorites, especially with Tatum coming back as well.
Yeah. I knew that New York was going to be good. Detroit was going to be good, but I had Boston coming out of the Eastern Conference.
For sure. I thought it definitely was going to either come down between Boston and the Knicks.
Yep.
Whoever won that series was going to go to the finals for sure.
Yeah. And in the grand scheme of things, you look at Boston's roster right now, and it's not bad. They're still a top team in the Eastern Conference, but it's tough
Yeah,
to look at it without a guy like Jaylen Brown on that team. And
right.
suddenly you look for your number 2 next to Jason Tatum. Do you rely on Payton Pritchard to take a huge step?
But hey, it's
What?
about this too, Aiden. It's about this too. Because Jaylen Brown, we saw what Jaylen Brown did last season when Tatum went down. Jaylen Brown was literally the reason why Boston was sitting at the 2 seed, pretty and everything like that when Tatum got back.
Yep.
Now, and Tatum throughout his whole tenure in Boston, he's had pieces around him.
It will be interesting to see if
It's going
Tatum
to
can
be
be
very
number
interesting to
1.
see, especially. And I know the Boston front office is looking at it too. Like, man, we hope we made the right choice here because if Tatum doesn't perform the way Brown did last year, that trade is going to look even worse than it already does. Like
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, you know, as a Sixers fan, we've seen what Jaylen Brown has done to the Sixers on numerous occasions. You know, but him coming to Philly, motivated as ever, saying like, "Oh, like they got rid of me, they kept him." Say
Yeah.
that,
I,
and then
I yeah.
treating him like that, and then on top of that too, you were alluding to earlier about the Giannis talk, but also too, I remember at one point there were talks for Boston to go get Herb and Trey
Mhm.
Murphy and everything like that,
Nothing
and nothing
there
panned out with
transpired
that.
anything.
So this is going to be a real interesting season for the Celtics, obviously, because moves like that, like especially if nothing comes from it, that's moves that could possibly get you fired. So
Yeah. And as good of a coach Brad Stevens and as
yeah,
good as a front office job he's done up until that point, that's one of those things that could just you eat one.
yeah,
If you look at what they're gonna run, I would assume they'll start next season. You go Pritchard, White,
Tatum.
Tatum at the 3, George at the 4, and Cade at the 5 with Mitch off the bench. It's like it's a solid lineup. Derek White last season was not how Derek White has been the year prior to that. We saw what Payton Pritchard can do, but the defense is not there at all. So
And then too, like again, I love Paul George. I do.
I do too.
But
Paul George has always been one of my favorite
yeah,
players.
I love Paul George. I just want to preface by saying that. But the way he played in the playoffs last year, I don't know if that's going to directly translate to how he's going to play like in the regular season and everything going forward. I mean, he's only getting older, and those shots that are like efficient, normal shots for him in the past and stuff like that, that may not be the case coming
Hey, they
into this
got
team.
Hugo though. They got Hugo.
And Baylor Sharman, so and Luke Garza, so
They got
who
Luka
knows?
Garza, man.
Yeah, so who knows, man? I guess, I guess we'll see heading into next season for sure. Heading into next season for sure. But since we're talking about the subject, obviously, about being the mind of the Celtics fan, I want to take you into the mind of a Lakers fan, man. Obviously,
Mm.
losing the greatest player of all time, LeBron James. Obviously, you're retooling your roster. You're seeing the moves that Pelinka's making. seeing him actually going out to go get a center and everything after
Yeah,
how many years the Lakers been asking for one. But like how what do you think? Because that team is
it's a weird
slow
team.
time. Yeah,
It's a real. I mean, with a guy like Luka Doncic, you're gonna be competitive and you're gonna be a top team. He's that good and he makes the players around him that good. I
right.
thought they got a steal in Cam Carr in this draft. We saw how good he was in summer league,
Yeah,
him
yeah,
falling that deep. Um and then you lose LeBron James, but you go out and you pay a haul to get a legit starting center
right.
can defend and just really anchor that center. I mean, they haven't had DeAndre, and that experiment was not great for them.
Terrible.
Jackson Hayes was they just not they have never had a really good center. And I mean, you bring a guy like Quinn Grimes in, who I think is good. Colin Sexton has a guard off the bench, but they have no defense at all. You're paying so much money to Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and Walker Kessler, which three very good basketball players,
Right.
but that's it. They don't own draft capital. Luka, I mean, you give this team these 2 years, and then Luka hits unrestricted free agency if he doesn't sign that extension. I think you're looking at a real possibility that
Luka's gone.
there's a really talented unrestricted free agency, and I think it's the 2029 class. It might be 2028. But all things considered, I just don't think this Lakers team has a lot of deep talent. I don't think
Yeah.
they have a lot of good defenders. I mean, I think is Bronny James their best defender, perimeter defender right now?
Hmm.
But you're not starting Bronny James in a playoff series. You're not starting Colin Sexton in a playoff series.
Right.
I don't I don't think there's a legit perimeter defender. Quentin Grimes that's starting in a playoff series. Like you're not
Right.
guarding Ant, you're not guarding Shea, you're not guarding a guy like Dame, you're not guarding Ja, you're not guarding any of these guys. Sure, you might put up 120 points a game, but this other you're gonna get 135 dropped on your head every night.
Right. Also, too, I just feel like with the Lakers, it's just so interesting because they really put themselves in a position where, simply put, they can't really like compete with other
No,
teams.
they can't. They can't be competitive anymore either with
Yeah.
how these contracts are and how all their money is allocated towards these
Luka.
players
Yeah.
in Luca. It's tough to build a competent roster surrounding that. And I do think that Rob Pelinka did make good signings surrounding Luca for with what the money they had
Mm.
was. It's just gonna be interesting to see like how well the Walker Kessler that contract can look awful in 2 years if just that situation just does not work out.
Yeah.
I really don't love what this current Lakers team looks like.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
Luka Doncic is healthy and can play 75 games and do whatever Luka wants to do, it would not shock me at all.
Yeah. I feel like this team is just, it reminds me of the Mavericks team from a couple years ago, the one that made that surprising run to the finals. The team that went to the conference finals against Golden State. It's probably that one that it more reminds me of. But I feel like that this team is, it's really just like Luca and friends, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Reeves.
You lose a guy who was one of their best players outside of LeBron last year in the postseason, and Rui going right
Yeah,
across the street to the Clippers, and like
yeah,
it's signings like that bringing back a Rui Hachimura just increases both your floor and your ceiling, and not having that, you're just like, damn. And he didn't
yeah,
go for a lot at all
at
either.
all, at all.
Just
And
like
it's like,
Palinka, what are you doing?
on top of that too, like that's been the thing about Palinka. That's been like the thing that Lakers fans have been talking about with him over the course of the past couple of years. Because I believe it was last summer, I did an episode and I talked about how the Lakers need to go out and get a center for Braun. And I
Yep.
said that the only centers that were available at that time, I think, were like Aiton and Horford or whatever like that.
And or
And
you could try to
yeah,
get like a Robert Willett, but that's
yes,
not those
right,
aren't
right.
legit starting centers in the NBA
And
like
then
the needle.
and then I believe not even a couple of days later, when I did my following episode, they signed Laravia. And I was like, there's no way that these are the only moves that the Lakers are making this offseason. Like, we're trying to help Braun win another title. You can't do that if it's just him, Reeves, and Luca, and that's it. Like, he can't do that with that team. And The same thing with, AD, obviously, when he was in LA and everything like that, how the Lakers seemed to go out and get a true five, and they couldn't. And since they won that title in 2020, and I'll say also as well the 2021 season as well, maybe, when it comes to the pieces that's been around LeBron and everything like that, the front office has not been proactive at all when it comes to making great moves.
I have a question. Do you
So,
think that, just think about the entirety of LeBron James's career,
hmm
think about guys that have improved around him
yeah,
that aren't all-star caliber players.
of course.
I genuinely do think that there's that extra pressure that actually impacts guys when they go and join up with LeBron in LA. I've seen it. You look at like Jared Vanderbilt, Mr. Street Clothes comes in, can't stay healthy. Every time
Yeah,
he's out there, he's not doing it.
yeah,
Like there's players that come in, like Jake LaRavia came in from Minnesota
hmm
into LA, played next to LeBron James. The lights are just so bright for that kid. And sure, he had glimpses of whatever, but it's tough to come in and play next to one of the greats like LeBron James and be coached. And there's certain guys that are able to,
right.
adapt to that
The
pressure.
transition is easier. The transition is easier, but then that also goes to why are we going out and making deals for these players
Sure.
when they're
When
better?
you're not going out and getting guys that have the experience and are used to playing under the
Correct.
sort of like this is when you go out and get yourselves a guy who's solidified. I mean, sure, you look at like Russell Westbrook a few years ago, that experiment and the Lakers was not good at all. But
Yeah.
on paper, it's like we just got a guy.
Even with
Russell
Melo when he
Westbrook,
played there.
you look at the 2021 Wizards Westbrook. We talked about it like a year and a half, 2 years ago, how dominant he was. You
Yeah.
bring him right in and you expect him to be another all-star Westbrook, and he just wasn't ready for the moment. So I do think that there is that weird random aspect of LeBron. There is that pressure to step up
Yeah.
and you have to play up to LeBron's standards. And some players just can't do that. But he also makes so many other players great,
Right.
which is like, I mean, you look at Austin Reeves being able to step up into the player
Yeah.
he is nowadays. So
Yeah.
it is interesting. And it is definitely something that I think Rob Pelinka can capitalize on more, finding those players and the scouting team and whatnot, finding those guys that can fit in next to LeBron when he was in LA, that now can fit alongside Luka Doncic. And hopefully we could see, those guys that are able to play off of Luka more, like we
Yeah.
saw in Dallas, like a PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., those types of guys.
Right.
So hopefully this Lakers team in Luka, not hopefully for my sake, I could care less with the Lakers.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
But we'll see how Luka can be as, back to the number one guy without another superstar next to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be an interesting season for the Lakers. Obviously, a lot of eyes are going to be, on the Lakers and how they play with this new look team. Obviously, again, like you said, with Luka's performance, Reeves' performance, especially after getting the crazy bag. I didn't expect him to get that crazy of an extension, but again, gave him that bag and then letting all of that talent walk and everything like that. It's going to be interesting.
I want to come back to this at the end of the regular season next year.
Gotcha.
What teams, I should say, in order, are going to be the most watched, from most watched, and then second most, third, fourth, and fifth?
Most watched, obviously, is going to be a toss up between the Sixers and the Knicks. Then you got OKC, San Antonio.
LA still in there? That's the real
No,
question. You don't think LA, biggest market, one of the biggest markets, still with Luka? Because LeBron's out of there. I think it's interesting now.
there's just so much better teams in the West that you could.
There are, but it's the
Oh,
smaller markets though that you
yeah,
really like. Are people really going to be tuned
yeah.
in every
Honestly,
night?
Lakers are probably round it out. They're still gonna get tons of coverage on ESPN and stuff like that too.
What about
Anyway,
Miami though? You think Miami with Giannis and South
that's what
Beach?
I'm saying. That's what I'm
It's like it's
saying.
gonna be
That's
tough.
what I'm saying. Like Giannis and the Heat, like they may actually take that five spot for the Lakers and everything like that, and be like one of the teams to watch for and everything like that. Especially after Bam had 83 last year too. They're
Hey,
definitely
Bam's the greatest player of all time.
Will Bam Kobe like seriously. What players and or teams are under the most pressure next year? What's your five that are under the most pressure heading into the next season?
Boston with
Mhm.
the Jaylen Brown experiment gone wrong, probably. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on not as much Jason Tatum to step up, but I do think guys like Derek White, Neemias Queta, who just got paid, we're going to have to see how he plays after getting paid. Payne
Mhm.
Pritchard, a lot of those guys are really going to have to step up. Um, and we'll see if they can still contend with the structure in the current roster that they have right now. So I think
Right.
they have a lot of pressure, as well as Joe Mazzulla and Brad Stevens in the entire front office. So I think that's a team that I immediately look at. The Denver Nuggets are another team that I look at. I mean, they're the only team in the second apron. We kind of talked about them a little bit earlier. Um, we know Jokic is a guy that's going to want to stay long term. It seems that way.
Mhm.
He has a contract extension due soon. Jamal Murray is a guy who is extremely talented. He finally made it All Star. He gets paid a lot of money, but are they still good enough to compete with those two and an Aaron Gordon and whatever pieces around them?
Right.
I think that's going to be interesting to see. I think they still will be very good, but are they going to able to take that next step, or are they going to continue to regress? Not that they've regressed significantly, but ever since winning the championship, they have not been able to get all the way back. It feels like every year they're slowly taking a step back. I
Yeah.
think OKC has pressure, actually. I really do think OKC has the pressure of, you win the championship, there's expectations for you to repeat and get back to the championship.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any concerns about SGA at all. But I
Just
think
with
there's going to be
everybody
a lot
else.
of pressure on, yeah, a guy like Jalen Williams to, one, stay healthy, and two, Chet Holmgren to continue that stride and to continue that upward trajectory in his career. Jeremy McCain's going to have a lot of pressure, finally being, you know,
Yeah.
playing for an entire healthy season, hopefully, in the NBA. Cason Wallace is likely going to be the starter. He's expected to get paid a lot of money. So there's guys on that team that are going to have a lot of expectations,
Right.
and all the eyes have been pointed on them for the past few seasons. So there's going to be a lot of expectations, I think, for those guys outside of Shea to see, can they continue this movement, or are they going to fall into the champions that seem to fall off like we have seen for the past few champions? I mean, you look at Boston, they got there, they haven't been back, and
Right.
they're sort of on that downward trajectory. You look at
Right.
Milwaukee a few years back, they never got there. Denver, they're slowly on that decline. So it's going to be interesting to see if they could get back to the top and stay at the top, or are we going to see the key departures that they've had this year kind of kick them in the butt, and we should have went into that second apron. So I think that's a team that's interesting to watch out for.
For sure. For sure.
Pressure. You said players or teams? I
Yeah.
guess
Players or
situations.
team.
Yeah. Um, I think the Clippers situation is interesting. Trading away Kawhi Leonard, I do think is the right move for them. But you bring in talent who just is a weird mesh. King Wagler, I do think, is a very interesting prospect, top 5 pick,
That has some
but
really
he's
bizarre.
very raw.
Yeah.
He's going to take a while to develop. I do believe he had an incredible season at Illinois, but it's going to be interesting to see if he's an NBA ready guy. I don't think he was a top 5 pick guy in terms of just pure talent. I think there was better prospects on the board that they could have taken there, but that's
Agreed.
besides the
Agreed.
point.
Yeah.
I do think that there's just pressure on them to. I don't know what their direction is. I mean, you don't have the rights to your draft picks.
Mhm.
You go out and you're signing veteran guys. We also have a 30-year-old Brandon Ingram. Then you have a top 5 pick on your team. And then you have a situation where the past few years you've been semi-competitive to get to the play-in, but
Right.
you've never been able to make that next push. And then last year when you're bad, you luck out in trading away Ivica Zubac for a top 5 pick, which had a 50-50 shot of conveying. That's a sigh of relief if you're a Clippers fan, because like you could have traded away, Zubac for nothing essentially,
Right.
but now you get a top 5 pick out of him. We'll see how Keem Walker. So I think there's a lot of pressure to see how the post Kawhi Leonard era officially looks. But you have the pressure of competing without your draft picks. And then the last team, it's as crazy as it sounds, is the Brooklyn Nets to me. As
Mm,
bad as they're going to be, they need to do something and slowly start to develop some of the young talent. I mean, they had
yeah,
5 first-round picks last year. You draft a guy in Mikal Brown Jr., who I think is an absolute stud and can definitely develop. And I don't think there's immediate development that we're going to see from these young guys, but you got to get something rolling.
right.
And bringing in a guy like a Julius Randle and a Michael Porter Jr., I think can definitely stunt some of these younger talents' growth. Just because a guy like Porter Jr., he doesn't want to be a Brooklyn Net and just chuck
Yeah,
shots for a team that's going to win 15 games, who also doesn't have their pick next year because it's going to
right.
Houston, which is just a mess to begin with.
Yeah,
And then Julius Randle, I think both these guys are contenders to be either bought out or traded at the deadline to a contender. But the Nets have not been able to develop anyone.
yeah,
But the only success we've seen this Brooklyn team have the past decade plus has been going all out and signing a big three that didn't work out. So
yeah.
they have not been able to develop any young talent really. And who's their best talent they developed? Nick Claxton, who's a backup caliber center in the NBA, or a
Yeah,
starter on a bottom five team. Like I think they are under pressure to figure out if they could develop all this young talent. And
seriously. Yeah,
I don't think it's a this season pressure thing, but I just think it's you need to figure it out this season. Not develop everyone right now and rush their developmental process, but you need to figure out if the coaching staff that you have in the front office that you have surrounding these players can work well
I
for you.
get that. I get that. All right, cool, cool, cool. All right, so for me, I'm saying as far as the first off, let me start with teams that I think have the most pressure heading into next season. Obviously, I would say Philly, obviously, with the big names and everything like that, being there. If they finish with less than a finals appearance, the season's going to be a bust.
So
Like,
if you think that, let's say Philly loses to New York in the conference finals. Joel Embiid, first ever conference finals appearance. If they lose in a competitive Knicks conference finals, you would consider that an unsuccessful season?
because this is what I'm thinking. If it was a team like last year, right? If it was the Sixers team of last year and they made it to the conference finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
With everything that happened, they made it to the conference finals. That's a successful season. But you have literally a starting five with practically four NBA All Stars, two MVPs, like and
Yeah,
numerous All NBA selections. Like you don't build that team to just make the conference finals. You build that team
I
to win a
agree. Yeah, you
championship.
build it to win championships.
Yeah,
So I see what you're saying. I looked at like OKC last year losing to the Spurs in a competitive conference final. I don't view that as necessarily a disappointment, even though they lost to a very good team, or even if it was the opposite way around. Like if the Spurs
hmm
lost to the Thunder, I don't think you would say that they had an unsuccessful season. I mean, even the Spurs losing in the finals, like that wasn't an unsuccessful season for them. So I
yeah,
get what you're saying, and I do
yeah.
think there is the pressure of being as good right now and trying to win within that
And with
LeBron
Braun too,
James
'cause-
window,
yeah, with yeah,
because you obviously want to win right now, especially with
yeah,
older talent. And if you're able to capitalize on a healthy Joel Embiid run, let's just say,
yeah.
you can't take any of that for granted. And you can't take LeBron for
You
granted.
can't, you
You
can't,
really
you
can't.
can't.
I mean, he was contemplating retiring this year.
I'm
So
saying,
who knows how healthy and how good he could still be.
right, right. So that's why I said
I
they're
do.
like they're up there. Another team that I would say that has pressure going into next season. We alluded to them a lot. But I'm gonna say again, Golden State monitoring their situation. His obviously everybody's gonna be looking at Steph to basically say like, yo, like, are you gonna stay? You wanna go ahead and leave? Like we can make a deal and everything like that. Obviously, with them not being as aggressive in the offseason and everything like that, them not doing anything, that's gonna just cause for a lot of people to just basically look at them and say, all right, let's see what you guys do. Another team that I'm thinking of that's going to have a lot of pressure going into this season. You talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder, so I'll just say OKC as well. Seeing that everybody else outside of shade can perform to the level they need to get back to the big dance and everything like that. Um, Another team in the Eastern Conference, I don't want to see the Knicks have any pressure because the Knicks they just won the championship. They just won the championship, so I don't want to see the Knicks have any pressure for
I think
them.
Orlando a little bit too.
Orlando, I'll say Orlando, Boston, and low key I would say Cleveland as well. Cleveland Cleveland has for the past 3 seasons been building towards something, and whatever they're building has just not panned out at all.
Mm-mm.
They went from last year having one of the best records in the league with the Oklahoma City Thunder, with many people saying that this was a finals preview and everything like that, only for the Cleveland to get bounced out first round or maybe second to the Pacers. I don't
Second
remember.
round, yeah.
Yeah, second round to the Pacers and everything like that. To then following that up with this season, having success, getting James Harden, and then completely laying an egg in the conference finals and everything like that
Yep.
against a superpower Knicks team, which exposed Harden's defense the whole series. With this season, you already missed out on Braun. You have your core coming back with Harden again, who's probably most likely going to sign an extension. You don't know how many more years of this you have. Mitchell is only going to be able to play at this high level for a couple more seasons, with still being happy in his current situation, being a Cleveland Cavalier and everything like that.
Yeah.
Before he probably axed out and everything. So, I mean, they have the immense pressure to at least get back to the conference finals.
You look at them; they're gonna have to get through Philly or New York if they want to get back to the conference finals. And on paper, they have the talent to do it.
It's not enough.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, it's gonna
It's
be
not.
tough. I mean, you saw Jared Allen. He had the best playoff run in his career. He was great. And then Evan Mobley, very similarly to a guy like Chet Holmgren, had spurts of being good, but then there were moments he just was semi unplayable. And
Right.
it's like it's funny, you look at some of these athletic, more modern bigs in the NBA, Jalen Duren, uh, included in that, who there was a lot of times where these guys, these 7-footers, were either unplayable or forced to play because there's still a good talent that just was
Right.
not playing well. So I think it's interesting to kind of look at that. Once Cleveland got there, I mean, Wemby was great and Cat was great,
Right.
but some of those other big men that
Right.
just they did not live up to expectations consistently.
Right. And then lastly, I'll say for a team that has pressure heading into next season, I think you talked about Denver, but I'm going to
Yep.
say Denver as well.
Yep.
Jokic is going to continue playing at a high level. We know this. Murray's going to continue playing at a high level. We know this. But everybody else that is not Jokic and Murray, they need to do that. It's only going to be a matter of time before Jokic basically is like, yo, I can't win anymore here. I think I want to test the market and everything like that. And I don't know when he's supposed to be a free agent or anything like that. But
He has 2 or 3 years.
okay, so I mean, I'm not saying it's possible, but if they're not making any moves to win now and at least make another deep run, I don't know what to expect. And then honorable mention, I'll say the Timberwolves with the whole LaMelo and Anthony Edwards situation. Those are two ball heavy guards and everything.
You're going all in on
Yes.
LaMelo Ball, which can work, but we'll see, man.
Yes, because LaMelo Ball, like until last year, I would say, hasn't really been on a contending team anymore. I mean, hasn't been on a contending team and everything like
He's
that.
never played meaningful
Yeah,
minutes.
never played
Never
meaningful
has.
minutes. He's in a whole different conference. He's not playing in a weak East anymore. He's playing in a very, very deep Western Conference. And having to play off with arguably one of the best two guards in the West, probably in the league right now with Anthony Edwards and everything like that. It's gonna be interesting to see how they play together. And I know I said honorable mention, but another one I'll say is Phoenix Suns as well. I mean, obviously with the Suns, you look at Devin Booker. They went to the finals in 21. They have not gone back since. Each year afterwards, they've fallen, in the playoffs and everything like that, you know, quicker and quicker. And with D-Book, you just know that he's just still like a solid player in the league. He's starting to be one of those players where it's like, he had that great run in 21, but we're kind of forgetting about his brilliance and everything like that. And the Suns, the team that they have right now, simply put, it's not enough. Like it's not enough. They're a great playing
Get
team.
Bridges, but it's
Yeah,
like that doesn't mean
it's not enough.
much for me.
And it's looking like another year where D-Book is going to have to command the offense and everything like that, and try to be playmaker and score. Where D Book, we all know D Book is best known for just scoring in general. Like playmaking, we don't know him for that for real. I know D Book to take over games and score when he needs to, but to rely on other players to do that as well, I
Come
don't
on,
know.
Malawat season.
Yeah,
He cooking in summer league. It's
yeah. So
Malawat season.
we'll see, man. We'll see. And then with another season of Ryan Dunn, hopefully he continues to develop UVA legend. But we'll
Shout out to
see.
Jordan Knott. I think Jordan Knott's a tremendous coach down there.
Yeah,
they're in the right direction, but I don't want to see Booker's career just like
I don't either, man. I don't
going in a
either.
weird way. Like
I want him to ask out. I honestly want him to like request a trade, or I want him to do that because I feel like 21 was his best chance, or
yeah,
maybe a couple years with KD too as well. But 21 was literally his best chance of getting a championship, and he had a great season that year. And it
Jalen
didn't.
Green could start to shoot the ball with a little bit more efficiency, then that team could be fun
That's not
again.
happening.
But
That's not.
it's going to be tough.
That's not.
He'll have a random 40-point game, and then the next
Yeah, he did that in the playoffs.
12.
He had like 40. He had 40 against Golden State. The next
I like
game,
a little. Oh my
he
God,
had 7.
Alec Bohm.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but no, that was a lengthy episode. So hey,
I
Aiden,
appreciate y'all. If you are listening right now, I appreciate you.
yes, thank you again for joining us on the YB Pod and everything like that. Youngbouls Podcast. Again, as I said at the beginning of the episode, we're back.
Listen to what Dinari's.
We're back, man. We're gonna do more episodes, more consistent. Definitely with NFL season coming up. Preseason, I believe, starts next week and everything like that. Yeah,
Come
Aiden
on,
has the shirt
baby.
and everything.
Come on,
So,
baby.
we definitely gonna get Aiden on during the NBA season for sure for more
Hell yeah.
episodes, and Quengo's gonna come back on and everything as well too. But again, he's just showing the jersey
Yo,
and everything. But yeah, man. Again, we appreciate you guys for joining. And yeah, that'll do it.
appreciate you having me.
Peace.